We are back to continue Chapter 7. Last time, Joey snuck into an auditorium presentation where they were talking about what you could do to really change the world, or do one good thing to make the world a better place. I don't think you have to be gifted and talented to hear that message. It's a great message for everyone. Anyway, I promised a really good chapter, and it's even worse than him sharpening his finger. So here we go. After lunch, I returned to the classroom instead of going out to recess. I wanted to work on my new idea to change the world, even though I could feel my meds wearing down like they do every time I eat something. Mrs. Maxey was back and sitting at her desk filling out some papers. "Hi," I said. "Did you have a nice meeting?" "Yes, I did," she replied, then asked, "How's your ankle?" "Better." "Did you notice anything extra in your desk drawer?" I asked. "I did," she said, and smiled at me. I lifted my chin and smiled right back at her. "It seems some secret admirer of mine left me a slice of cinnamon apple in my drawer." "Can you guess who that nice kid might be?" "I bet it's the kid who's going to have the best behavior all afternoon," she said. "I bet it is too," I replied. "You know, we still have to have that little talk," she said, still smiling. "You really lost it yesterday." "Yeah, but I've changed already. I sneaked out and went to the gifted and talented assembly, and now I'm ready to do something great for the whole world." "Sneaking out doesn't lead me to believe that you've changed at all," she replied. "Yeah, but I only broke a little rule," I replied, "and now I can do something great for the world." "Really?" she asked. "What do you have in mind?" "I'm going to make 1,000,000 bumper stickers for cars that say, 'Hate is not a family value.' My mom saw one at work, and she said she wished she had a bumper. She wished she had 1,000,000 of them to put on every car in the world." "That is very thoughtful," she said, "but I don't think you should stick things on people's cars." "I won't. Mom will." "I better get going. I only have a few minutes before everyone comes back from recess." "Well, go to the back of the room and use the art supplies. If you stay on task, I'm sure you can get 1,000,000 done in no time." So I went to the back of the room and got a thick piece of poster board. I took my time and drew wide lines across it, and between each line I printed out the bumper sticker saying in big block letters. I took a Day-Glow marker and outlined the word hate to grab everyone's attention. When I finished, I held the big poster up over my head. "Mrs. Maxey, look!" I shouted. She lifted her head from her work and gave me a thumbs up. Then she gave me a little secret wink and a smile, because even though I'm difficult, I'm very special and smart. Everyone says so. "Very good printing," she said. "Nicely done, Joey." "Nicely done, Joey," echoed in my mind over and over. I loved how that sounded, and I didn't want to have any other words come into my head again, ever. Just those three. Nicely done, Joey. But suddenly I remembered I had to finish up fast. I got the safety scissors and began to cut the poster board into bumper sticker-sized pieces. But the poster board was too thick, and the scissors kept twisting over onto their side, and the harder I squeezed, the more my fingers hurt. Then the bell rang, and the kids started to pile in from the playground. I wanted to finish cutting my bumper stickers, so when Mrs. Maxey got up from her desk to go stand in the hall and make sure no one was running, I snuck up to her desk and opened the top drawer and grabbed her secret extra sharp teacher scissors. Do you have any thoughts on where this is going? I was racing back to the bumper stickers with scissors. Running with scissors. Do we know where this is going? In my hand when it happened. I tripped over the stupid ear of the rabbit slipper and sort of dove through the air with the open scissors outstretched all the way out in front of me like some big evil big bird's beak, when Maria Dombrowski walked sideways across my path like a safety patrol guard, and she said, "Slow down!" But I didn't, and my hand collided with the side of her face, and I went tumbling down the aisle. I thought I was the one who was screaming because it was so loud I figured it had to be coming out of my mouth. But it wasn't me. I jumped up and didn't know what had happened at first, when, oh my God, you should have seen the blood. It was like a pipe had burst. Blood just poured onto the floor from the cut at the end of her nose. And she stood there shaking with her eyes wide open like she stuck her finger in the electric socket. I bent over and picked up the tip of her nose, which now looked like the tiny end of a sliced banana. Then I stood up and pressed it back on the place where the blood sprayed out in a circle like a shower nozzle. Oh, it was awful. Her mouth was wide open and no more sounds came out, and I looked into her eyes and there was so much fear trapped in them I went instantly out of my mind, worse than Maria even, worse than Mrs. Maxey when a kid ran to tell her and she came flying into the room and I was shrieking, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry!" as I tried to pat the little piece of nose back into place like it would stick and the blood would stop and the cut would vanish and I would run all the way to my poster which was going to change the world for the better. Mrs. Maxey yanked me away from Maria and I went spinning around like a top, screeching and hopping from desk to desk, yelling, "Sorry, sorry!" Then I tried to wrestle the scissors from Mrs. Maxey who had taken them from me because I wanted to cut my whole nose off just to show how sorry I was and give it to Maria. But Mrs. Maxey wouldn't let me have the scissors and she kept shouting, "Time out! Time out! Go to your corner!" But it was so nuts I couldn't tell you the difference between a corner and a circle or a square. And before long, Nurse Holyfield arrived with a mile of gauze and white tape, and she began to bandage the nose with ice. And oh, I was like on fire, just skipping around. And then I heard the ambulance. And then the principal came and threw her jacket over Maria's shoulders, and they raced her out of the room. Believe me, it was bad. And everyone was staring at me like I was a maniac killer. I didn't know what else to do, so I sat at my desk and ripped the ears off that rabbit slipper and stuffed it in my pockets and waited for something horrible to happen. And it did. Mrs. Maxey was trying to clean up the mess and calm the class down, and Mrs. Jarzab returned with blood on her jacket and pointed at me. "Joey," she said in the front of the room, "bring your things and come with me." I pulled the front of my t-shirt way out and piled everything from inside my desk on it and carried it away. "I'll be back," I said over my shoulder to everyone because everyone was still staring at me and looking scared. "I will." And I was crying as I walked away and couldn't see with the tears in my eyes and my stupid ankle hurt and I hit the edge of the door with my shoulder and it gave me a Charlie horse. I let go of one side of my t-shirt. My stuff fell all over the floor. I turned and looked at Mrs. Maxey and she was just biting her lip. And I thought I could tell she really wanted me to stay. She knew I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Our eyes met and I said, "I'm a good kid. I just got done meds." She winced and turned her eyes toward the class and said, "Now I want everyone to settle down. Take a deep breath, let it out slowly, and prepare to do some math drills." "Math drills are one of my strengths," I shouted. But by then, Mrs. Jarzab had picked up all my stuff and grabbed my hand like it too was a piece of stuff and led me down the hall toward the office. Oh my, he's really done it now. Snipped the tip right off of Maria's nose. What do you think's going to happen? Where's he going to go? Wow.